There's a couple of things. NBC, that incredibly right-wing organization of NBC, showed some documents that they obtained, exclusive coverage on NBC, that show Hamas created detailed plans to target elementary schools and a youth center in part of their attack. In Arabic, it shows, the map and where they need to go. And it says, kill as many people as possible. They're also labeled top secret. Now, they came off of the body of one of the people Israel sent to Allah this weekend. And I feel bad about that. Well, actually, I don't. But he's with his, is it 80 or is it 90 virgins? I think it's 80 virgins, right? How many virgins do you get? I know
it's only 70-something. How many virgins we getting these days?
I don't know.
Is there exchange rate? Has there been inflation?
I'm not. Would you look it up? How many? I think it's 80 virgins that you get. That's what you used to get in the old days.
72.
72 virgins. Well, it's based on the American dollar, so it's probably
it's
more
thousands
than that now.
At this point.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, by the way, just a tip: if Israel is sending you home to your virgins, you've only got 72 of them, and all eternity. So don't get up there and go, well, like I got 72. Space them out. Space them out. Anyway, so we've got that news. Meanwhile, people are still saying, I think this is wrong, what Israel is doing. Really? The president said yesterday that on 60 Minutes, and boy, was he dynamic. What a fireball that guy was. He was asked if Israel should, quote, occupy Gaza. Here's what he said, cut 6.
Would you support Israeli occupation of Gaza at this point?
I think it'd be a big mistake. Look, what happened in Gaza, in my view, is Hamas and the extreme elements of Hamas don't represent all the Palestinian people.
They sound very weak.
And I think that it would be a mistake for Israel to occupy Gaza again.
Okay, stop for a second. I don't think it's a mistake to occupy. Well, I mean, I wouldn't live there, but I think Israel should park their car there. You know what I mean? Park a lot of cars there. It could be, some sort of a parking lot that they make in. I think you should be done with this experiment. How many times do we have to do this before people get it? Hamas and the Palestinian, the whole thing is a sham. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't good Palestinians, et cetera, but that's not what this movement is about, nor has it ever been about. The Palestinian people have been used over and over again by people who just want to kill Jews. That's it. That's been the thing from the very beginning. Now, were there people that, would like to share the land? I'm sure. But I'm sorry, have got to treat the Palestinians that live in Gaza and are in the Middle East, you have to treat them the way we treated all Germans. All Germans weren't bad, but those Germans voted Hitler in and fought for Hitler. And they were like, it's pretty great. Well, it wasn't pretty great. And as soon as the German people said, you know what, this isn't pretty great, I don't want anything to do with this anymore, it was over. And the world could live together. And because of communist Russia, Germany got a two-state solution. And that worked out really well.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, you're exaggerating at some level of saying you want to turn it into a parking lot. But
I mean, a nice one.
Yeah, a nice one. But I would argue, why not just a park, right? Like you could have a nice big, and I would use turf because it's really hard to maintain grass in a large swath of land like that. But I would just roll out the turf over that area, and no one lives there. Nobody lives there.
You know, I have no problem. You want to make it into farmland because the Palestinian people are going to need food because Egypt is not going to feed them. Israel and the United States were the ones sending the food into Gaza, and they're the ones that hate us. But that's fine. Make Gaza into a farmland, and then Jordan and Egypt, maybe even Iran, could take the Palestinian people and divide up something like Egypt's got a lot of land. A lot of
open space there.
Yeah.
And again, all these people, they can't be part of this country anymore. Right? Like, there's just no way. It makes absolutely no sense for Israel to have an oasis for Hamas in the middle of their country. It makes literally no sense.
No sense.
You're going to have to find a different place to go because, look, we tried this, and stupidly, by the way, it was a stupid thing for Israel to try to say, hey, well, what if we just let them vote in Hamas and see what happens over the next couple decades?
That is the key.
It's ridiculous.
That is key. They voted Hamas in.
Yeah. And the same thing can be said, like, for the Germans back in the day. They didn't really have a chance to change their mind if they decided leadership wasn't so great. Like, once they did vote them in a widely approved election. This was not something that, like, people, watchers from around the world were saying was a fake election or a bad fixed election. They put Hamas in power. Now, Hamas did not give them a chance to overrule them later and take them out of power. Maybe they've all changed their opinion on Hamas. Opinion polling does not show that.
Right.
We should note. But maybe now they have. Maybe they were so horrified by these attacks. Who knows?
The last opinion poll I saw, now this is years ago, but the last opinion poll I saw, it was like 97% or 93% of Palestinians agreed with killing the Jews, using terror. Cutting people's heads off, killing civilians, kidnapping children.
Roles.
Yes. So
it was very, very high, and it was much higher than it should be. Let's put it that way.
So these are also people that were just last week celebrating in the streets. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if my government, let's be honest, if you found out today that the United States was over kidnapping Russian children and just going into houses in Russia and just shooting innocent, women and children, would you be out passing cookies outside? Because I wouldn't be.
No.
I'd be ashamed.
Yeah. And look, this is time for another asterisk here, right? These people have been indoctrinated. They are very similar to the people who live in North Korea that are told that Kim Jong-un is a god, right? You listen to the children from these regions talking about the Jews.
It's horrible.
They've been taught this from birth.
Correct.
And it is very difficult.
And you could say that about the Hitler Youth.
Yeah, exactly.
You could say that about the Hitler Youth. But at some point, the Palestinian people need to stand up and say, we don't think it's right killing Jews anymore.
Yeah.
Okay? And unfortunately, history has shown us the only way that happens is to bomb the snot out of people. And I'm sorry, but history has shown when you have attempted over and over and over again to be able to give people peace. Here, let's just live in peace. You do this, I'll do that. And just live in peace. Nope, they're not interested. They're not interested. They've been offered a two-state solution. They turn it down. Why? Because it's about killing all of the Jews. That's all that is. Period. Period. And by the way, if anybody is feeling badly, I understand that. I don't want to kill innocent women and children either. Israel has a right to defend itself. And if that's what you need to do, by the way, they are dropping flyers from the sky, have been all weekend. Please leave this area. Please evacuate. We're coming in the next 24 hours. Well, we did that too. We did that in Japan. It's my pretty clear understanding that would make us in Israel the only ones that warn people, please leave. Our war is not against you. It's against your leadership. And even when we drop these on 80 million of these flyers in Japan before we bombed them, it said, our argument is not with you. Our argument is with your government. But you must tell your government to stop. Well, they eventually did. Unfortunately, it took 2 bombs. But eventually they did.
Typical pro-Western propaganda here on the Glenn Beck program, as usual. This is exactly what I would expect you to say.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even care about the innocent victims in Gaza. You know, it's fascinating to see you at work.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, you know, considering your evil pro-Western ways, it was nice to see you actually jump into the fray a little bit in Israel. Finally deciding to get off your horse and get on your horse and pick up a few people over there on some planes that you sent. It was good to see you.
Yeah.
How could I put it? Maybe shamed by Ron DeSantis, who was already doing it. You know, maybe you felt
this is where you're going. This is where you're going.
Look, I'm just saying. I'm glad you finally got off your butt and decided to actually help some people over there in the Middle East.
So. Wow, that's refreshing coming from you.
People were so turned up. They're like, why were you going after Glenn about his not doing anything after all he's done in Afghanistan and everything else? And I was like, I know he can't say anything about it. He can't. The mission's ongoing, so I can say he hasn't done anything this whole time on the air over and over again, and he can't defend himself because these.
Listen to him. So what he's trying to do now is trying to make an excuse for himself. He's trying to make an excuse. No, I was just kidding because Glenn couldn't defend himself. You had no idea that we were sending over.
Really.
You had no idea.
Well, why didn't you say anything?
What?
If you were in process.
Was so hurt.
Oh, you were
by what you said on the air.
Okay, that was.
Anyway, yeah, we thanks to Mercury One and our partners, our first plane was supposed to be there yesterday, leaving. It has been delayed, and we are trying to get as many planes over there as we can to rescue, to bring home as many Americans as we possibly can. And there's more to this story, but I can't speak about it now. But please pray for all those Americans that don't have a way out. By the way, we're not, I know we have these giant gray planes, the president has access to. And I heard this weekend that they are going to start picking people up, which I applaud. And then they're dumping them in Germany, and then they're charging people. Thanks to Mercury One and our partners, we are picking people up in Israel, and we are bringing them home to the United States. And we're not charging anybody, which is very nice. But that is all thanks to you and Mercury One and the NazareneFund.org.